5 months after a dreamlike wedding, when everyone thought the story had already reached its happy ending, actor Yulong quietly dropped one single sentence that shook the entire internet. If I could choose again. Was it a regret? Was it a hidden apology? Or was it the most powerful love confession he has ever made? Welcome back to Update X24H, where we look beyond the headlines and into the hearts behind them. Today we dive into the confession that turned a fairy tale marriage into a real conversation about love, pressure, and choosing each other twice. Stay with me because the meaning behind that one line might just change the way you see relationships. Before that sentence traveled across timelines and comment sections, it belonged to one man sitting under studio lights, speaking more with his eyes than with his lips. Yulong is not the kind of actor who chases the loudest spotlight. He came from modest sets, narrow budgets and scripts that rarely made headlines. Each role he took was another brick in a quiet staircase that he built for himself, step by step, without shortcuts. Audiences learned to recognize him by his silences, the way he holds a gaze, the slight tightening of his jaw, the pause before a line that makes it feel lived rather than performed. In an industry that often rewards noise, he became known for depth. So when someone like that whispers, "If I could choose again," people instinctively lean in. It does not sound like a slogan or a marketing line. It sounds like a man looking back at his own life, weighing his choices carefully, and still daring to answer honestly in front of millions. To understand his confession, you also need to meet the woman standing at the center of it. Yang Mei carries two worlds inside her. The world of a young actress still discovering her limits, and the world of a woman learning what it means to love under constant scrutiny. On screen, she slips between laughter and tears with surprising ease, as if she were opening and closing windows to her own heart. Off-screen, there is a gentleness in the way she listens and attentiveness that makes people feel seen. When she first appeared beside Yulong, there was no need for dramatic declarations. The difference in their ages, temperaments and energies somehow formed a balance rather than a distance. He anchored the frame, she brightened it. He offered steadiness, she brought light. The most striking thing is that his confession is not about choosing her once. It is about choosing her again, fully aware of the weight that choice carries now. The pressure, the expectations, the sacrifices both of them must make to keep walking in step. Their wedding looked like the final chapter of a storybook. The photographs showed soft lighting, simple decorations, and two families brought together not by spectacle, but by quiet joy. It was the sort of event that invites words like fairy tale and perfect ending. Yet real life does not end at a wedding. It begins again in a different form. 5 months later, they are no longer just bride and groom. They are two working adults trying to hold on to a shared center, while the world keeps pulling them in separate directions. There are call times at dawn, flights that land long after midnight, scripts to learn, contracts to read, messages to answer. It is all too easy for days to pass without a real conversation. So they build small rituals. 10 minutes together over breakfast without phones, a short call before sleep no matter the time zone, a habit of asking, "How are you really?" rather than, "What are you doing?" These are not gestures for the camera. They are the quiet labor of partnership, the kind that turns a beautiful wedding into a durable life. The confession did not arrive with fireworks. It came in a studio designed to feel like a living room with warm tones and soft chairs, the kind of place where people are meant to forget that cameras are rolling. The host's question was gentle but pointed. If he could revisit his choices, his work, his path, his partner, would he make the same decisions? There was a moment when Yulong could have laughed it off, offered a clever answer, and moved on. Instead, he allowed silence to stretch between them. In that silence, you could almost see the montage playing in his mind. Early failures, long nights, the first time he saw her on set, the arguments, the reconciliations, the headlines. Then he spoke slowly, choosing each word as if it mattered. "If I could choose again," he said, "I would still choose acting, even knowing how tired it would make me. And I would still choose her. Perhaps earlier, if I had been braver." It was not dramatic in tone, yet it felt like a door opening. That one line invited everyone listening to revisit their own unfinished courage. Most relationships grow in the shade, protected by anonymity. Theirs must grow in a place where every gesture is recorded, every expression can be frozen, magnified, and interpreted. When they walk through an airport, they are not simply traveling, they are being measured. A step too far apart becomes distance. A serious expression becomes trouble. A separate schedule becomes crisis. In such a landscape, the easiest response would be to withdraw entirely, or to perform a version of love that satisfies expectations but not the soul. They try neither. Instead, they draw a line that is firm but not hostile. They do not parade every moment of tenderness, yet they do not deny they care for one another. Their choice is to be truthful without being exposed, to share just enough to show that their bond is real, while keeping the most fragile parts of it away from public hands. To say, "I would choose you again" in private is one thing. To say it knowing that millions will dissect it, replay it, argue about it, and still mean it is another level of courage entirely. What gives that confession its power is not only who said it, but how easily it echoes in other lives. "If I could choose again" is a sentence that sits quietly in many hearts. It belongs to people who left too early, or stayed too long. To those who spoke harshly when they were afraid, or stayed silent when they needed to be brave. As clips of the interview spread, comment sections filled with stories that had nothing to do with fame. Viewers wrote about friendships that faded, chances at love they let slip away, careers they pursued out of fear rather than conviction. Some spoke of partners they would still choose despite the storms. Others admitted they would choose differently, now that they know themselves better. In this way, his words stopped being just a celebrity quote. They became a mirror. The confession offered no neat resolution, no instruction on what the right choice is. Instead, it gently asked each person watching, "If you could choose again, not in fantasy but in truth, what would you do with the knowledge you now carry?" After moments like these, many couples in the public eye turn the wave of attention into a product. A show, a brand, a campaign. Yulong and Yong may appear to take another route. They do not try to frame themselves as the perfect model of love. They seem more interested in building a life that makes sense to them, even if most of it never reaches the news. That means saying no to certain projects so their time off overlaps, even if it slows their visible momentum. It means supporting causes that reflect what they themselves have struggled with: confidence, mental health, the fear of not being enough, in a demanding industry. It may mean spending some anniversaries not on red carpets, but in quiet rooms where they can simply be themselves without roles to play. The most meaningful futures are often constructed out of unremarkable days. If they truly are choosing each other again, it will not only be in interviews. It will be in the way they speak to one another when they are both tired, in the patience they show when success and criticism arrive unevenly, and in the decision to protect what they have even when no one is watching. When the headlines fade and the clips stop circulating, what remains is not just the spectacle of a famous man making a romantic statement. What lingers is a quieter, more demanding idea, that love is not a fixed decision made once at the altar, but an answer we keep giving to the same question over time. "If I could choose again" can sound like regret, but in his case it carries a different weight. It suggests that knowing everything he knows now, the exhaustion, the intrusion, the misunderstandings, the cost of being known, he would still walk towards the same person. Perhaps more quickly.